Welcome back to Tabletop Assault. I'm Ross, and today I'm going to continue my segments on looking at the Chaos Space Marine Codex. Today I'm going to look at the MAULERFIENDs, the other half of the sort of Dino-Bot duo, with the Forge Fiend obviously being the first one. So yeah, the MAULERFIEND is the close combat variant when it comes to these two, and quite interesting in a lot of ways, and got some interesting options for it as well. So how we do this is I'm going to look at the stats, war gear and sort of special abilities you have in the codex. I'm then going to make some loadout and role suggestions for the MAULERFIEND. And then look at legion traits when they are applicable, psychic abilities and stratagems that may be of some use to using a MAULERFIEND. With that, let's have a look at the MAULERFIEND itself. So MAULERFIEND is a unit that does deteriorate with sort of the damage it does take in a game. It begins at a mighty 10-inch move, which is faster than a lot of sort of walker variants, as it were, to a 6-inch move when it's at lowest efficiency. So you can see that it does move quite fast to begin with, and then 6 inches even at lower is not bad, but equally not great. I think the Forge Fiend Defiler, yeah, they're both like 4 inches. So getting an extra 2 at lower efficiency, not bad, but 10 certainly means it can bound across the field quite efficiently. Goes from strength 6 at peak efficiency, which is a bit weak for something like this, to strength 4 when at lowest, which is not ideal. And then it has attacks 4 at peak efficiency and 2 at lower. This can be sort of addressed with war gear options. You can still guarantee you get a good deal of attacks. In terms of its stats otherwise, we have weapon skill and ballistic skill 4+, so it's always going to hit and it's reliable 50%, no deterioration there, but 50% of the time hitting is not ideal. Toughness 7, so it is reliably tough, kind of standard for things that are not like Land Raiders or Daemon Russes, so toughness 7 is not bad. 12 wounds, so much more than say a Dreadnought, which is roughly about 8 wounds, so a bit more wounds in there. Leadership 8, so unless there's psychic effects it should be okay, and a 3-up save, which is kind of what you expect with something with this much armour on it. As standard, it comes with MAULERFIEND Fists and 2 Magma Cutters, and you can replace both Magma Cutters with Lasher Tendrils. I'll just quickly speak about the weapons themselves. Magma Cutters, so you get 2 of them if you go with that loadout. Range 6 pistol, so you can use them in combat if you are in combat at the time. Strength 8, minus 4 AP and 3 damage. Terrible range, but they are pistol, what do you expect? But minus 4 AP melts through armour like there's no tomorrow, which is great, and 3 reliable damage. Not bad considering you get 2 shots. MAULERFIEND Fists, which are melee as standard weapons, times 2 strength, bringing it to strength 12 at peak, strength 8 at lowest, minus 3 AP, which is great, and 3 damage. Pretty darn good. And Lasher Tendrils, which you replace both the Magma Cutters for, to make it strength user, so 6 at top, 4 at bottom, minus 2 AP, which is still fantastic, and 2 damage. But the best part is that when you use this weapon, you can make 6 additional attacks with this weapon. So that means at highest efficiency you can put up 10 attacks in combat at mighty stats, may I add, and 8 attacks when you're at lowest. So certainly, even with Lasher Tendrils, you get a high amount of attacks, even at lower efficiency, and at highest, this truly does become a little bit of a terror. It does have various special abilities. Demon, so you get a 5-up interval save. Nice. Infernal Regeneration, at the beginning of each of your turns, this model heals 1 wound. Keep you in the game a bit longer. Can be really good, because it means that you potentially are going to regain anywhere between 1 and 6, depending on how many turns there are, 7 wounds to keep you in the game, so it can pay quite a wee bit to just keep going. And Explodes, if this model is reduced to 0 wounds, roll a d6 before removing the model from the battlefield. On a 6, it explodes, and each unit within 6 inches suffers d3 mortal wounds. Can be not bad, because this guy wants to be all about your opponent's face, tearing people apart, so if it explodes it might cause mortal wounds on its way out. So yeah, that's the MAULERFIEND as you find it in the Codex. Going to start off by saying an important note whenever I talk about demons, which I've done a lot recently. Important thing to note that these are demons the way, I'm not going to talk about them in terms of the way they synergize with the Chaos Demon Codex if they can. I'm speaking about them purely in a Chaos Space Marine Codex way. I don't know if Death Guard or Thousand Suns can use Maulerfiends. I don't think they can, but I'm not discussing that. I'm just talking purely as you get them in the Chaos Space Marine Codex. If that doesn't stop any of you guys from making comments about their use possibly along with demons or any other faction as well if you want. The option is there. Leave comments below. You've left some fantastic ones about demons in the past, specifically Spawned and Possessed. I've really enjoyed some of them, just getting good view back in them. So if there is any synergy here, I'm not 100% sure there is, let me know. But I'm speaking about the Chaos Space Marine Codex. So yeah, I think I mentioned this last time. The Fiends are a bit interesting because they came in during my break in 40k. There was a brief period, well, I say brief, it was quite a few years where I didn't play, and then the Dinobots came into action, where the Forge Fiend was the range variant and the Maullerfiend being the combat variant, and the Defiler, which was way back when I was still playing then, is a sort of all-rounder. The Maullerfiend does have sort of two main loadouts. One of them I heavily favour than the other, but I feel I should mention both. So they're both combat ones, just to say, kind of goes without saying. So yeah, first one is Heavy Hitter Maullerfiend with Maullerfiend Fists and Magma Cutters ×2. The Maullerfiend Fists are pretty terrifying. ×2 strength brings you to 12 with 4 attacks at peak efficiency with -3 AP and 3 damage. Means a potential, I think, of 12 wounds. 12 wounds, which is not bad, but taking into account of its accuracy is not great. The Magma Cutters are also impressive stats, but with such short range you need to get in really, really close to use them, which is possible with the speeds of the Maullerfiends. You might be able to do it, or have your opponent charge you, and then you can possibly use them in combat, because they are pistols. Ultimately not my favourite option, because but it does have the chance to hit quite hard. Next version is called All Round and Scary. Maullerfiend with Maullerfiend Fists and Lasher Tendrils. This is by far my preferred option. You still get the advantage of fists in the case you run into anything heavy and you sort of want to punch it at strength 12, but you also have the Lasher Tendrils adding in a mighty 6 attacks on top of it. And still pretty good stats, -2 AP, 2 damage for those extra attacks. Means in combat, you're going to do significantly more, I feel. If you are focusing on combat with the Maullerfiend, and you should really, I would almost say always go for this option over the Magma Cutters. They just offer a lot more when you do use the Lasher Tendrils. It works to the Maullerfiend's strength, specifically with Demon Forge, where obviously if you use Magma Cutters you don't really get the benefit of Demon Forge in the shooting and fight phase without being expensive, but if you take Lasher Tendrils, Demon Forge is going to be a really big benefit if you have Lasher Tendrils. So I highly advise Maullerfiend Fists and Lasher Tendrils. They're good. So yeah, Legion traits. I've speak about this quite a lot now because we're now into the vehicle segments. Obviously you do not get Legion traits with Marine, both Loyalist and Traitor vehicle sort of loadouts. They just don't get them unless they're Hellbrute, which Maullerfiends are sadly not. So they do not get the benefit. I was just checking there, I was like, oh my goodness, maybe I've been saying it wrong, and they are, but they don't. You have to be a Hellbrute keyword to be able to benefit from them. However, I do like to sort of speak about which ones would be useful, because they would be, and where there's other armies that their full list does get the benefit, Chaos and other Marine types and Custodes do not. So yeah, Alpha Legion, Hidden Plain Sight. Your opponent must subtract 1 from unit when shooting a unit with this trait when they're more than 12 inches away. This is generally awesome, though the Maullerfiend does prefer to be barreling straight down the battlefield as soon as possible. So yeah, you may not get a lot out of this one, but -1 to hit, more survivability, always awesome. Renegade Chapters, Dark Raiders. This unit with this trait, this allows a unit with this trait to advance and charge in the same turn. So you took the Lasher Tendril configuration, right? Because why not? You have 0 interest or need for shooting, just advance and charge. Just remember, you can actually do that. but it'd be nice if you could. I mean, you'd cover a long distance. World Eaters, Butcher's Nails. When a unit with this trait makes a successful charge, you can make one additional attack with each of the models in the unit in the subsequent fight phase. One extra attack, meh, but not bad. You know, whatever. Night Lords, their tactics. Models in this unit must models in enemy units must subtract 1 from their leadership characteristic for each unit that is within 6-inch range of the target to a maximum of -3. Large base means that more units will be affected by the -1. Not great, but teamed up with others is -3. Can be not bad. Emperor's Children, Flawless Perfection. Units with this trait always fight fight first in the fight phase, even if they didn't charge. If the enemy has units that did charge or with similar abilities, then you alternate choosing units in the fight units to fight, starting with the player whose turn is taking place. I've never been the biggest fan of this trait, but you know, it works quite defensively. Thunderhammer Stormshield Terminators would have a field day against Maulerfiends, but being able to dictate the order may mean you actually might retaliate quite well against them and take a few out before they get a chance. Just remember, all those Legion traits, you can't use any of them. Quite frankly, the Renegade Chapters Dark Raiders would be fantastic for these guys, but sadly, not the case. So yeah, however, psychic abilities can help them. So the Forge Fiend does benefit from a few psychic abilities that Dark Hereticus Discipline does offer. Which ones? Let's have a look. Prescience, Warp Charge 7. If manifested, select a Hereticus Stars unit within 18 inches of Psyker. You can add 1 hit rolls for that unit until the start of your next psychic phase. So hitting on a 4+ is a pain, but hitting on a 3+ is so much better. And as your weapon skill does not actually get worse as you take wounds, it means you are going to hit a little bit more reliable with it. With Lasher Tendrils, this is a pretty good option because you're potentially looking at 10 attacks at peak efficiency, which is really, really good. So hitting a bit more efficiently, really good. Warp Time, Warp Charge 6. If manifested, pick a Heretic Stars unit within 3 inches of Psyker. That unit can move as if at the movement phase. You cannot use Warp Time on a unit more than once per psychic phase. Maulerfiend is a fast unit, moving at 10 inches when undamaged. This can potentially mean with Warp Time 20 inches. This may shock your opponent and certainly you know get the Maulerfiend where it needs to be in combat pretty soon. So it can be quite shocking to see it be within nearly a 3-4 inch charge. First turn just hurtling down the field. With Warp Time, it will certainly surprise your opponent significantly. Diabolic Strength, Warp Charge 6. Select a Heretic Stars model within 12 inches of Psyker until the next Psychic phase. Add 2 to the model's strength and 1 to the model's attack characteristic. So I do not think I've talked about this really since the Demon Prince. Either way, pretty good. This brings the fist to strength 14, I believe. I think you do your multipliers, then your additions afterwards, so it would make you strength 14, which is pretty good. And then with Lasher attacks, it means you're going to get at peak efficiency 5 with the fist and your additional 6 for 11 attacks in total. This just means you're going to hit a lot harder, and provided you haven't taken any wounds, it's going to make you such a deadly force. Really like that as well. Miasma of Pestilence, Warp Charge 6. If manifested, select a visible Nurgle Heretic Stars unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Till the start of your next psychic phase, your opponent must subtract 1 from all hit rolls that target the unit. More survivability is not bad, and with 5 up invul and recovering 1 wound a turn, -1 just makes it a real pain to bring down, which is always a good thing. Maulerfiend's strength and attack get worse, which is a pain, along with with its strength deteriorating, but obviously your weapon skill and bliss skill don't deteriorate. It begs to sort of get dealt with in range before it gets close enough to do any damage. Just making it harder to hit is going to make a big difference for its survivability. Delightful Agonies, Warp Charge 6, Mark of Slaanesh only. If manifested, select a visible Slaanesh Heretic Stars unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Till the start of your next psychic phase, roll a d6. Each time a model in that unit loses a wound on a 5+, it does not lose the wound. Unlike the Defiler, you cannot use smoke launchers to make it -2 to hit, so going with this guy, not really want to do shooting, you'd just be like, cool, I'm going to advance and smoke launch -2 to hit when you use Miasma Pestilence, but that is not the case. So going with 5+ to ignore successful wounds may be the better option, because you're essentially ignoring 1/3 of successful wounds, and then you get to regenerate 1 for being a Demon Engine as well. So yeah, in this one I'd say Delightful Agonies is probably the preferred sort of survivability, survival ability when it comes to the sort of psychic abilities. Stratagem recommendations, well, we'll start with the one that I always begin with Demon Engines. It's going to be Demon Forge, cost 1 command point. Use this stratagem in your shooting or fight phase when a Chaos Space Marine Demon vehicle is chosen to attack. You can reroll all failed hit and wound rolls for that model until the end of the phase. Where the Forge Fiends would eat these during the shooting phase, the Mauler Fiend will eat these during the fight phase. The advantage though is the Mauler Fiend arguably hits more reliably and harder, with 10 attacks potentially with the Lash Tendrils, all doing a fair bit of damage. So if you're in combat with this guy, I highly advise that you get the benefit of the rerolls, because I think he'll definitely pay his points back if you just feed him 1 command point in Demon Forge during the fight phase. I don't have any more stratagem recommendations. I think that's kind of the only one that I think truly benefits the Mauler Fiends so much. Let us know if you think any other ones, but that is the main one, Demon Forge. So yeah, that is it for the Mauler Fiends. It's a bit of an interesting one where a lot of the heavy support in the sort of Chaos Space Marine Codex is geared towards shooting. The Mauler Fiend does sort of field a sort of niche on that side as well. I think there's certainly a lot of potential of it, and I would personally, when it comes to any of the Demon Engines, quite frankly, unless it's bigger games, I'm going to speak about the Demon Engines in a wee bit more general term now. I think it's only really worth bringing one, or if you want to bring both Forge Fiend and Mauler Fiend, you can bring one of each and feed 1 command points in the shooting phase, 1 in the combat phase, if you've got command points, to spare, Personally, I like the Mauler Fiend in combat. It does fantastically well. I think the Defiler is a good all-rounder if you want to bring one in terms of, combat and shooting. It's got a bit to choose there. Forge Fiend lacks a wee bit. It can do well, but its reliability is debatable on that side as well. I also find when it comes to Forge Fiend and Mauler Fiend that they're a bit of an odd addition in the Chaos Space Marine Codex. I just find them unusual. To me, they'd almost seem like they're not so much demons, though they are demon engines. Almost like they're like the sort of dreadnought version of like demon engines. Like they should maybe be in the demon codex as dreadnoughts, if that makes sense. Don't know if people agree with me on that one. Probably not. But they just almost seem like dreadnoughts for demons. But hey, Chaos Space Marines have access to them. Here they are, and a different one for obviously the Defiler to face against. Well, sorry, to play against in terms of the heavy support unit choice. So interested to hear what your thinks on the Mauler Fiend. I have fielded them a few times now. I now sort of mainly play the Lasher Tendrils, and my opponent always gears to take them out, because once they're in combat they can just be a real pain to deal with. So I usually find them, like, a lot of concentrated fire goes on them to bring them down, but equally they barrel down the field really, really efficiently. So I'm actually quite a bit of a fan of them, but I'd love to hear your comments on them as well. So yeah, please comment, share, like and subscribe. Check us out on social media and Patreon if you wish to see our current projects and give us a wee bit of support so we can bring you more content, which we absolutely love doing. Thanks again, and we'll see you in another Tabletop Assault Battle Report.